Hi everyone, we are going to use a helpful formula. It's one that I actually came up with and it works incredibly well. In this particular video, you're going to learn how to use this formula to solve for an old value. You're also going to learn how to use this formula to solve for a percent and also to solve for a new value. So go ahead and get this formula down, box it off, and then let's go ahead and we're going to tackle 7 problems today, and you have to watch all of them because they cover different types of problems using this formula. All right, so let's deal with this first example. It says John sells 40 albums in 2010. He improves his sales by 250% in 2020. How many albums did he sell in 2020? Well, first of all, let's identify what we're looking for and what we have in the problem. So he sells 40 albums in 2010, and I want to know how many albums he sold in 2020. So the 40 albums in 2010, that's the old value. And we're looking for how many sold in 2020, or how many he sold in 2020, which is our new value. Does that make sense? Because 2010 is the old amount of time and 2020 is the new time. And percent is obviously this. So we are looking for what? We're looking for the new, because this question says how many albums did he sell in 2020? So we're going to put a question mark here. That would be what we're looking for. So using this formula, it says the old value plus the old value times percent equals new. So my old value is 40 plus 40 again times the percent. Well, how do you take 250% and put that into a decimal? Well, you're going to just bring the decimal back 2 places and you get 2.5 as a decimal. So just make sure you convert that into a decimal. All right, and now I'm just going to pick up my calculator and I do 40 plus 40 times 2.5, and that's equal to 140. And we're going to answer this with albums. And kind of stop and say to yourself, does this answer make sense? Okay, if I improve 250% and it's selling 40 albums, okay, yeah, I definitely should have a bigger number. That makes sense. All right, that's it for that question. Question number 2 is actually a true question. Jan, my neighbor, got 110 bins of cherries this year. This year, due to frost, they had a 20%. I messed up on this problem. I don't feel like redoing the video, so sorry about that. This should be last year. All right, sorry about that. Let's restate it. Jan, my neighbor, got 110 bins of cherries last year. This year, due to frost, they had a 20% decrease in production. How many bins did they have of cherries this year? Okay, so this is asking how many bins of cherries did they have this year. This year, that's the new value. And last year, that is the old value. Okay, and then obviously we've got 20%. So we are given the old, right? We're given 110 bins of cherries, so that's old, so we have the old. We're given the percent, and we're looking for the new. So this is the same problem as the last one, just different numbers. So my old value is 110 cherries plus 110 cherries times 0.2, and it says a decrease, right? I'm taking 20% and I'm making it as a decimal, so it's going to be 0.2, but it says decrease, so I have to put the negative here, and that's going to be equal to my new value. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my calculator. And that's going to give me 88. So 88 bins of cherries. Let's see if that question makes sense. If last year she got 110 bins and it was a 20% decrease, yeah, you should end up with this year a lower number. Okay, so just remember in this problem that if you have a decrease, you're putting a negative in front of it. And do not forget to convert your percent into a decimal, or your answer will be way off. All right. Next question. Ms. Sorensen had 120 followers on Instagram until she posted something bad about Chief Keef. The next day, she lost 80% of her followers. How many followers did she have that next day? All right. So what do we have here? We obviously have our percent. She lost 80%. And she had 120 followers, so that's the old amount. So we have the old, and we're looking for the new. The next day would be the new amount. So we've got 120 plus 120 times lost 80%, so that's going to be a negative 0.8. That's going to give me my new number of followers. So doing that in my calculator, see how cool I am with my followers. That's going to give me 24 followers. Not bad. Pretty cool and hip for that. All right, now we're kind of moving on from what we just did, and we're going to now find the percentage given the new and the old. So we're now going to be looking for this. And I'm not going to tell you in the problem. You kind of have to identify what you're given and what you're looking for. So Mr. Thomas's art painting was worth $300 in 2005. So that's going to be the old value. But after he won Ninja Warrior in 2017, his art painting is now worth $900. So that's the new value. Without doing any math, what's the percent increase for his painting? Well, if you can think about this, we're going from 300 to 900, and I can actually tell you that that's tripled, right? 300 to 900 is tripled. Well, we know if doubling something makes it 100%, you'd think that maybe tripling it would make it a 200% increase. Now, I'm not going to hold you to that, but I do think it's interesting to note that. So as a side note, if you double something, that's equal to a 100% increase. If you triple something, that would be equal to a 200% increase. If you quadruple something, you can see the pattern, that'd be a 300% increase. But I think it's worth doing this with this new formula I've given you, just to prove that it is 200%. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's fill this in. My old value that his painting was worth was 300, plus the old value being 300. And we're talking about what is this value, x, right? Because I'm putting a question mark next to the percentage, and it's going to be equal to 900 is my new. Well, we certainly could solve this equation. We get 300 plus 300x equals 900. I subtract 300 from both sides. I get 300x equals 600. Divide by 300. 300 cancel, and I get x equals 2. Well, what's 2 as a percent? Well, that would be bring my decimal over twice, and that is 200%. Now, it's kind of interesting. If you're ever going to find a percentage this way, I wouldn't really recommend this method, because you could do the new minus old over old. You're looking for a percent increase. We've learned this. So the new here would be 900 minus the old of 300 over 300. Well, that's equal to simply 600 over 300, which is 2, which is obviously 200%. So we just solved this problem 3 ways. One is to memorize that something being tripled gives you 200%. I use this formula, the old plus old percent equals new, to get the 200%. And I use the new minus old over old, whichever one you prefer. But you really can't use new minus old over old unless you're solving for the percent. That's the only time that works. All right, the statewide median sales price rose to $324,300 in the first quarter, 12.1% higher than the same time period last year. What was the median sale price last year? Whoa, this is now a harder problem. Okay, this is asking for last year's price. That's going to be the old that we're looking for. So I'm going to put a question mark here and a question mark here. I was given the percent, okay, so I have that, and I was saying that this is the new value because it's saying that it rose to this in the first quarter, so we've got that. And this wants the last year, so clearly this is my new. So I have my new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this as an equation, and I'm going to go ahead and anywhere I see old, I'm going to put an x for a variable. So I'll have x plus another x because I'm looking for old, see question mark. Then my percentage is going to say it's 12.1% higher. Well, 12.1% as a decimal is going to be, bring that back, 0.121. And that's going to be equal to my new value. My new value was here, 324,300. Okay, now we need to solve this equation, and to help you do this, you have to put a 1 right there. So 1x plus a 0.121x, right? I can rewrite this as 1x plus a 0.121x equals 324,300. So if I add 1x plus a 0.121x, well, that's combining like terms. I get 1.121x. That's equal to 324,300. Go ahead and divide by 1.21. That cancels with that. Okay, and I get an x equals, I'm just going to do that in my calculator really quickly. And I get 268,016.52, and then that's going to be my comma right there. Let's see if this makes sense. So this is saying what was the sale price last year? So basically we just got an answer of 268,000. Okay, if that's my last year price and it went to 12.1% higher to give me this value, I feel pretty good about this because I know that my number should be lower than that 324 because it's increasing to get from the 268,000 to the 324,000. All right. Okay, this year Steph will score 40 points for the Manson basketball team. If she improved 150% from last year, how many points did she score last year? Another problem asking for last year. So we're looking for old again. Okay, we're not looking for percent increase, we're looking for old. We're given percent, and we're given that she'll score 40 points for Manson basketball team this year. So we have the new. Okay, so we've got an x plus an x times 1.5, right? I took this 150%, brought the decimal over to 1.5. That's going to be equal to our new value. This year she's scoring 40 points. I can put a 1 in front, so I'm going to be left with 1x plus 1.5x equals 40. This gives me 2.5x equals 40. Divide by 2.5. 2.5's cancel, and I'm left with x equals 40 divided by 2.5. And it looks like 16. So she only scored 16 points for the basketball team the previous year. And that makes sense. If she scored 16 points last year and she did 150% better, that she would have scored 40 points this year. All right, this is our last one. And I know there's quite a few examples, but I do feel like this is a big jump up in what we've been doing. All right, when I first started my Instagram, I didn't get many likes on my cat photos. Today, however, I received 28 likes, which is 250% increase from my first photo post. How many likes did I have on my first post? Okay, my first post is my old. That's the old value, so I'm looking for the old because it's asking, well, how much did you have on the first time around? That's the old time. We've got our percent at 250%, and we have our new value because I just got 28 likes today. So this is going to be x plus x times 2.5, that's my 250%, is equal to my new value of 28 likes. We'll put a 1 in front of this. I get a 1x plus a 2.5x. You can always bring that value in front because it's multiplication. Combine these two and I get 3.5x equals 28. Divide by 3.5 and you get x equals a solid 8 likes. That's pretty solid, you know? So let's check that this makes sense. So my old value would be 8 likes, and then I got a 250% increase, which brought me to 28 likes. That does, in fact, make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a tough topic. We'll certainly cover this again. I'm so proud of you for getting through this video. See you in class.